Hey everybody, this is Alicia, also joined by my fiance Jack. And we're going to be doing another Orville novella read tonight. We're doing chapter 2. So yeah, it's moving along slowly. It is not Thursday night. I know we normally do it on Thursday night. Thursday night, Jack and I are doing an anniversary celebration, so that's why we're moving it to tonight, Tuesday. So yeah, we are on chapter 2 of our Orville novella.
Hmm.
We've met Otto. We've met his parents. We've introduced indirectly Hines and some controversial characters too.
Yeah, lots of Yahtzees. This does
Hello,
take place in
Chloe.
1930s Germany, so
Yes, exactly. I think Seth is basically showing off because he's bilingual in German, so I think he's showing that off a little.
probably.
But yeah, like I said, we're dealing with Otto and all of them again. This is actually one of the shorter chapters, so we get introduced to Otto and another. We finally get a female character besides his mother in this one too. So yeah, but we still haven't gotten to the Orville content. So the Orville content doesn't show up until I think the midway chapter six
About half
because Jeff.
about halfway through the book, we
Right.
peeked because we were curious.
Right. So yeah. We were like,
Like
okay, well, where's the oral content? Nope, 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 nope. Oh, there it is.
slightly, yeah. Half the book you're sitting there waiting is like, okay, so where's Ed and Kelly and where's the Orville? I didn't sign up to watch some Nazi documentary, you know.
Exactly. You're like, wait a minute, this doesn't belong here. Yes. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're not going to read that out loud because some of it we read it and no, no.
Some of the language in it is very yeah.
I mean, we skim it. We read at least 3 times. I will say this much that me and Jack read at least 3 times before we go public for all of you guys to hear us. And then when we finally release it, we just share the screen. We don't read it. We just said, nope, not reading that. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, no salutes for me.
No, we're just
No talking good about the H guy.
exactly. We're
People
still
hate me
waiting
so
on
much I'll take that shit out of context. I am such a controversy, especially lately.
as am I, but yeah, we don't need any more hate than we've already getting.
Right.
But yeah, we don't know when we'll do the one for next month. We'll keep you guys posted on that one. But I think that one's a pretty short chapter too, as well. But yeah, we'll keep you posted. We'll probably have a little hiatus, I believe, in March and probably definitely in April. So those 2 months will be a hiatus. Um, but yeah, we're still waiting to hear about Orville being renewed. We need it renewed. Come on, Disney. Come on,
Yes.
Hulu.
Do the Orville. Yes.
Please.
Please,
We'd like that to find out for Christmas.
yes. Um, I do think part of the wait has to do with just because everybody's contract was up, and then afterwards they went and found more work. I know like Seth and Scott Grimes and some other people are working on the TED show at this point.
Right.
So
Exactly.
um, yeah, so they have to. I think once those other contractual obligations are fulfilled, and then once they're able to like get everyone back in a contract, they'll tell you that it's been greenlit. I'm pretty sure internally, I'm pretty sure internally, they're ready for another season themselves.
I think so. I mean, I hear a lot of them say that they want it renewed. They really do. I mean, you can hear it the way they tweet, the way they post online. They want it back.
Oh yeah, of course, me
So,
too. That was
so
some of the
yeah.
that was some of the best sci-fi I have ever seen. That last season was some of the best sci-fi I've ever seen, and I mean like comparing it
Yes,
to Star Trek.
that's true. Any science fiction, because I've seen a lot of science fiction since I was little, and this one was the best.
Hmm.
The best of the best. No other standards measure up, honestly. I mean, sorry, Star Wars. Sorry, Star Trek. Sorry, Battlestar, Stargate. Nope, you guys don't measure up. Orville's in a class of its own. So yep. Alrighty, so we are going to start on chapter 2. Like I said, this one's a pretty short chapter. I think it's at max 5 pages, maybe, but yeah, we're not going to read some of the controversial stuff.
Sure.
So, and Chloe is in the chat. If you guys start to understand, we're not paying attention to the chat. We're just focusing on what we're reading because me as narrator, I have to multitask with learning German. And Jack has got to focus on doing his voices for the different characters.
Most of them are the same guy, the same voice. For 12,
Practically, yes.
12 different people, and like I only do a different voice for 2 of them.
Yes. Yes. I have to switch mine up a little bit from my narrator voice. So, yeah. Alrighty. Are you ready, my dear?
I am ready with my Mexican Coke, which, by the way, is much better than the Coke they sell here with the cans and the bottles, because this, unlike we make our Cokes with high fructose corn syrup, but Mexico makes their Coke with the fuck is it called?
Sugar.
Sugar,
Sugar.
sugar cane, and it tastes much better.
Yes, I'm sure it does. I need to try it one day for sure.
Send me a check, Coke.
This is not sponsored by Coke. We hope it's not sponsored by Orville instead.
But we'll happily take Coke.
Yes, just don't hype it up like the Harrier Jet Pepsi did.
Oh man, that was a crazy document. We'll talk about that later.
Yes, that's later. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Chapter 2. Otto's gaze swept across the grandiose ballroom as the liquid ebb and flow of colorful bodies danced by champagne fields sparkled. Although the emblazoned banners that hung high on the walls dominated the decor, the presence of a multitude of nationalities was evident. Italian, English, Swiss, Spanish, Danish, Hungarian, Belgian, and a few others. Otto's recognized. There were ambassadors, politicians, military attachés, and of course others of the party. He marveled at the rapid transformation that had occurred since Hitler had firmly entrenched as the leader of Germany. As promised, he had restored the nation's greatness, and evidenced by the show of power assembled in this room. Successfully making a mockery of the fear-mongering alarmist histrionics of the foreign press. Nope. Reclaiming Germany's historic lands and positioning the country for further expansion while expertly keeping the peace, despite absurd predictions of the journalist. Otto felt supremely fortunate to be among those in attendance at the sumptuous affair, courtesy of his good friend Heinz Fischer, who had extended the invitation. The two felt like lords of creation as they strolled the soiree in their smartly pressed SS uniforms, a pair of rising standouts seemingly destined for long, prosperous careers.
I wish my uncle could be here.
Remarked Otto with a prideful smile.
He would be ecstatic. He fought in 1914. Infantry? Ja.
Asked Heinz, sipping his champagne.
So did my father.
As if smartly knitted in from the quick, sharp of sting of an old injury, and winsome expression flitted swiftly across Otto's face.
I wish I could say the same.
He muttered, glancing absently at a pair of naval attachés engaged in a friendly debate of some variety.
Your father didn't serve?
Heinz inquired. Otto couldn't tell from his expression whether he was silently judging the son for the sins of the father. Anxious, however, to distance himself from the old man's embarrassing patriotic deficiencies, he answered quickly.
Oh, yes, he served. He served dessert. He was a baker. Well, you can't fight a war on an empty stomach.
Heinz replied with a wry grin. Otto was quietly grateful for his friend's light tone.
He certainly didn't.
Heinz gave him a supportive slap on the back.
He must be very proud of you now, no? Hardly. We haven't spoken in 5 years. He's too blind to see what is done for Germany, and he'd rather we remain a punching bag for the Allies.
But Heinz appeared not to be listening. Instead, his gaze was fixed upon the far corner of the hall. Otto turned to look. Beside a long table decked out with glorious array of pastries that put his father's paltry efforts to shame, Otto beheld an even more glorious sight. Three women laughed gaily over some shared joke as they nibbled from a multi-tiered platter of chocolate scones. Two pleasantly handsome, perhaps in their early 50s, but the third. Otto felt the rushing tide of instant longing as it surged through his bloodstream. She was blonde, perhaps 20 years old, with piercing blue eyes and a stunningly magnetic, heaven-smitten smile as looked as if it could and must be her permanent expression. She threw her head back as she laughed, accentuating an elegant jawbone that Michelangelo would envy. Who she was, Otto had no idea. Perhaps Heinz knew.
I've only seen her once before,
He said.
at a reception for the Danish ambassador, but I never learned her name.
As Otto pondered the seemingly Herculean challenge of wrangling a formal introduction to this magnificent creature, and the likely reality that such a woman must be spoken for, an unfamiliar voice jolted him back to reality.
I trust you boys are enjoying yourselves.
He turned to find himself face to face with a formidable-looking SS general. Instantly, both he and Heinz snapped to attention, their boot heels clicking and their arms shooting skyward in salute to the superior officer.
Not saying that.
No, the boys barked out in unison. The general responded with what sounded like the trace of amusement. He addressed Heinz, gesturing to Otto.
And who might this be?
Otto realized that his friend was already acquainted with the man. Heinz answered crisply.
Oberjunker Otto Vogel. This is my commanding officer, General Schmidt. In honor, sir.
Said Otto with a deferential tilt of the head.
I was humbled when Heinz offered the invitation. Yes, rather unorthodox to be sure. However, I'm sure Heinz told you of my little idiosyncrasy. He did, sir. It is our good fortune.
As Heinz had informed him, General Schmidt always tried to sneak a few low-ranking SS officers into these high-profile gatherings. It was his belief that an occasional first-hand glimpse of the glory enjoyed by those dedicated their lives to the SS and the party and faithfully endured the long, slow climb through its hierarchy would further fuel the loyalty and conviction of the up-and-comers. It was tactfully understood that those who lucked in this special privilege would return to their peers with glowing accounts of the experience which would trickle down through the ranks, where they would fortify a thicker membrane of loyalty. So here they were, two SS officer candidates in their mid-20s getting a taste of the high life.
I see you've been admiring the view.
For a moment, Otto was confused by the remark. Then suddenly he felt the blood rush into his cheeks as he realized what the general meant. He had observed their interest in the blonde girl's comely face and lithe figure.
Oh, yes, sir.
Otto sputtered lamely.
Quite lovely.
The general smiled.
Yes, sir. So tell me,
The general idly wiped a smooth, small wrinkle in his lapel with two fingers.
what would you do with a woman like that?
Heinz and Otto looked at each other nervously. Otto had the acute sensation that he was being toyed with for some as yet unclear reason. He was grateful when Heinz spoke first.
I think I would put her on a pedestal every day.
Then with a jovial, lavish glint,
And haul her down at night.
Otto's eyes widened. Such a real-bald attempt at humor was a bold gamble. At first it seemed to pay off as the general chuckled gamely, but almost immediately Otto registered an odd sub-layer to his expression.
Well, you know what our friends the Italians say.
The general quipped.
Only peasants make love at night.
To Otto's dismay, the general then turned his attention to him. Not off the hook after all.
And what about you, young man? Sir?
Otto stalled.
What would you do with a woman like that?
He felt himself beginning to sweat. Was this, in fact, merely man-to-man verbal horseplay, Or was he being tested in some fashion? For lack of a better option, he chose wide-eyed honesty.
I would I would ask her to marry me.
The general seemed genuinely amused and delighted by this response, his laugh far warmer than it had been with Heinz.
Marry you?
He repeated a slight bounce in his dominated stance.
Don't you think you should meet her first? Meet her?
He glanced at Heinz, but the other boy was just as perplexed. The general suddenly called across the room with a round toned projection one would expect from an officer of such rarefied rank.
Annalise, come here.
The woman immediately glided across the room with cheerful confidence, filling Otto with a mix of exhilaration and panic as she approached. He had the distinct sensation of standing on a railroad track, watching a powerful locomotive rushing toward him, and he had to fight the urge to get out of the way. He hoped his perspiration wasn't too visible. The general wrapped an arm around the girl's waist and beamed with pride as he introduced her.
I would like you to meet my daughter, Annalise. These are Lieutenants Heinz Fischer and Otto Vogel.
A pleasure, she said. Her voice was a surprisingly smooth, velvetly self-assured alto that only exasperated Otto's schizophrenic impulses to feel the caress of those soft ivory arms, and at the same time to be anywhere else but inside this socially petrifying circle of discourse. How do you know my father? She asked as she tossed in the door and looked upward at the imposing man, whose return glance appeared to be more docile than any SS would have seemed capable of, let alone one of the general's rank.
I I have the honor of serving under his command.
Heinz managed to say, You're very fortunate, she smiled. And you, Herr Vogel? Otto opened his mouth, and to his horror nothing came out. He surely must have resembled the subject of Edvard Munch's disturbing contribution to the vulgar movement of proto-expressionism. What was it called? The Scream?
I
But that single little droplet of sound was apparently all that his dry pops would offer.
Otto and I have just met.
The general said, bailing him out.
However, he's been quite forthcoming with when sharing his interest.
Oh, really? She answered with curiosity. Such as?
The sacred matrimony institution of matrimony, for example.
Otto wanted to die, but the general pushed us onward with waggish delight. Tell me her. I'm sorry.
Tell me, Herr Vogel, what do you think of my Annalise? Do you still want to marry her? I do.
As said Otto, as she gently slid the gold ring onto his finger.
So that was a
And
very,
that is the
very
end of
short courtship.
Very short. That was very short. That's a very short courtship.
Yes. Yes, that was about less than 5 minutes.
I
That
know.
courtship.
I'm thinking he just met her.
Yep.
And the general said, "Oh, what you do?"
Like, what would you do with that woman? He asked Heinz first, and Heinz was like, "Oh, I don't, basically grinding the statue like Lamar." And
Yes, he's been a
he,
Lamar here. Yes.
he didn't he didn't seem to like that answers. And then he asked Otto, and Otto was just like, "I guess I'd marry her." And he was
And
like,
then he says, "Oh,
"That's
come with
that's
me."
what I was looking." Yeah, that was the answer he was looking for. So,
And so apparently he's going to marry Miss Annalise. Hmm.
and that was a general, right?
Yes, it was.
So, he's gonna have some hookups now.
Yes, especially because he's a prominent member in that culture.
Hmm.
So, what's going to happen to Otto and Annalise? I wonder, I wonder, I wonder.
We'll see.
I guess we'll have to find out what happens in chapter 3.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, yep, that's the end of that chapter. I mean, yeah, I still can't believe we finished that chapter. Like, that's the one of the shorter ones of the chapters. That's one of the
Extremely
shorter
short.
ones. I mean,
Yeah.
but And a very short courtship. I mean, I will say this: Jack and I were not engaged that fast.
No, we weren't.
I mean, yeah, it took some planning. I'll say that much to figure it out. Even though we talked about it, but yeah, it took a little bit more planning.
Yeah, a little more planning, a little more, you know, time.
We didn't have somebody try to play a hookup. Say, "Oh, would you do this kind of woman?" We never had anyways put him on the spot, kind of thing.
Right. And imagine it's the father doing it too. Like you don't
Oh
want to disappoint that man, especially
no,
because he's a general.
I know, I get it. I'm like, oh, I felt so sorry for Otto because he was like, oh, what do I do with this?
Hmm.
But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted when we do chapter 3. Like I said, it'll be next month. But we hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. But if we don't see you before then, but yeah, chapter 2 complete.
On to chapter 3.
mm-hmm. That will be in January sometime. We'll keep you guys posted when that will be.
And hopefully by then they renew the Orville.
I hope so too. I hope so too. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you catch us on the replay, hope you understand that that's why we can't read some of this stuff. When we share you on the screen, you see what it says. No,
Yeah.
no.
Yes. Especially yeah, not especially not me. People would like love that clip of me saying something like that.
And that's why I don't say any of that stuff too, because I don't believe that that person was that superb. I'll say that.
No, no, that's the other thing. I also disagree. Yes. Yeah, oh no, I definitely disagree with a lot of that stuff that he was doing and talking
Yes.
about.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I don't want that to be taken out of context. I've already had stuff. No. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
So
But yeah. So I guess you guys have a good rest of your evening, and Jack and I will see you next time. Take care.
renew the